Hi y'all, this is Larry from Deep South Texas, and today we're going to make Parmesan cheese. And the ingredients are 4 gallons of 2% milk. I am using 2 packets of direct set thermophilic, and I'm going to use an 1/8 teaspoon of lipase powder mixed in 1/4 cup of water, 3/4 of a teaspoon of calcium chloride mixed in 1/4 cup of water, and 3/4 teaspoon of animal rennet also in 3/4 cup of water. Okay, now let's put in the last of the milk. I don't know that this pot will hold this whole gallon, but we'll find out. I need to leave a little bit of room for some of the other ingredients, and I don't want to be sloshing it out. So I think we're going to stop at about 3/4, so 3 3/4 gallons. So we're going to heat this milk up to the target temperature of 92 degrees, and then we'll continue from there. Well, the milk has reached the target temperature of 92 degrees. So now we're going to add in our thermophilic culture. And it's a direct set culture, and I'm adding in 2 packets. And we're going to let that set and rehydrate for 5 minutes, and then we'll be back. Okay, it's been 5 minutes, so let's stir in that thermophilic culture, get it well mixed in with the milk. Going to add lipase. And get that stirred in as well. Now, we're going to let it set for 45 minutes. Well, it's been 45 minutes, so let's add in the calcium chloride. Calcium chloride puts back some of the stuff in the milk that was taken out by pasteurization. Let's get that mixed in real well. That's good. And now we're going to add in the rennet. And get that mixed in real well. And once that's mixed, we're going to let it set for another 45 minutes. And the rennet should make the milk set up into a nice curd. Well, it's been 45 minutes. It's time to check and see if we have a clean break. And that looks pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and cut the curd. Now we want this pretty small, so I'm going to cut it with the knife first, and then I'm going to come back in and cut it with a whisk till I get it really small. So I move the pot back into the double boiler, because now we're going to heat this cheese slowly up to 124 degrees. During the renneting process, we dropped down to 89 from 92, so no big deal. Now we're going to slowly heat it up over the course of an hour to 124 degrees, stirring constantly. At the moment, I'm still breaking up some of the larger curds, trying to get them fairly small size, and they will also lose size in the heating process. Okay, we've been cooking the curds for an hour, and we have achieved our target temperature. And that's what the curds look like now. Looking good. Now we're going to let them set for 5 minutes and then put them in the mold. Okay, we're ready to start putting the curds into the mold. First I want to just get this cheesecloth damp. With the whey, it keeps it from sticking later on. Now, I'm going to see if I can pour this in the mold without creating a disaster. There is a tremendous amount of whey. And that pan's full, so I'm going to switch over to this pan. And then I think I'm just going to scoop the rest of those out. Let me give my hands a spray with some vinegar first. There, a couple of those. So the cheese is in the press. We have about 20 pounds of weight on it right now. We'll have that on for about 30 minutes, and then we'll flip it over and put on a little bit more weight. See you then. Well, it's been about a half an hour. Let's flip this cheese. Okay, we got it out of the press. Let's see how it's looking here. Take the follower out. Take the cheese out. It's pretty fragile at this stage, so being very careful. I'm going to turn it over. And rewrap it. Being careful to tighten up the cheesecloth to keep any wrinkles out of the cheese. Okay, and then we'll get that back in the press at about 50 pounds. Okay, it's back in the press at 50 pounds. We'll leave it that way for a half hour, and then we're going to flip it out, take it out, flip it over, and then put 100 pounds of pressure on it. And it will remain with 100 pounds of pressure overnight. And in the morning, we'll take it out and brine it. And I got a brine solution on the stove right now. Got about a gallon of water, a couple pounds of salt, a tablespoon of calcium chloride, and a teaspoon of white vinegar. So that will be done shortly, and then we'll let that cool down, and in the morning we'll put our cheese in the brine. Well, it's the next morning, and this cheese has been in the press for the last 12 hours. It's time to take it out and see what we have. Okay. Cheesecloth is pressed in there pretty tight. Try to carefully remove that. And there it is. Looks pretty good. Okay, now we're going to put the cheese in the brine. And since it floats, we got to put a little cheese salt on top. And that will stay in the brine for 12 hours, and at 6 hours we'll flip it over once, and we'll take that out later tonight for it to dry. Well, the Parmesan cheese has been air drying for 3 days, so let's take a look at it here. I'd say that's looking pretty good. So we're going to get this in the cheese cave now. I'm going to put it in this ripening box, which has another mat on the bottom. And so we'll put it in the ripening box. We will turn it every day for the next 2 weeks, checking it every day to see if there is any mold developing, because sometimes it does. If we see any, we'll brush it off, clean it off, and continue ripening to try and create a rind. In a month or two, or when I can no longer keep up with any mold that may show up, I will be vacuum bagging it and leaving it in the fridge, then the cheese cave, for a year. So we'll see this cheese again in about a year from now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.